All right, so tell me a bit about your background and why you decided to come to Clearwater.
Okay, I was born and raised in Plymouth, England, which is quite a famous naval port. Uh, that's where the Pilgrim Fathers left to come to America. But after I'd served an apprenticeship as a fitter and turner, I then went to work for the Minister of Defence. And for night school, I got a diploma in machine shop engineering. And I decided I'd emigrate to a different country. So I looked at the different countries around the world: New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Canada. Canada was the only one that wanted me to pay my own fare to get to Canada, but I decided Canada would be the country I wanted to try. So I went through the immigration process and became an immigrant into Canada in 1966.
How complicated was that?
It took about a year at that time to go through all the processes, the medical, the experience, the type of things that Canada was looking for as far as employment were concerned.
And how long did it take before you got your citizenship?
That's a very interesting story, and that's part of the history of Clearwater, is how I got citizenship. So, do you want me to talk about that piece
Absolutely,
now? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so after I came to Canada, I worked in Vancouver in an engineering company, and they had an ad in a paper about teachers wanted in British Columbia to teach industrial education. So I attended that seminar, although I didn't have some of the qualifications that they required. I decided I would try it out, and I got hired to teach in the Birch Island School District, of which I had no idea where Birch Island was. I'd only been in the country 6 months. So I signed on a weekend to come and teach in Birch Island School District at Clearwater Secondary School. So that was in 1966, September 66. In 1968, I attended a meeting in Raft River School about the medical facilities that you did not have in Clearwater. And it was interesting because I'd come from a fairly sophisticated city and had these expectations of what all areas would have: dentists, doctors, different things like that. And that wasn't here. And of course, it was very heavy industrialized at that time. It had been moving from an agrarian society to industry. We had 4 major sawmills. The woods division was a very high-risk activity, and we had no medical to back it up. The road did not go through to Alberta, so you had to go south if you wanted any medical care. And that was a fair long drive on a road that's not as good as it is today. So that's how I became involved in more of the political issues of the valley. But of course, I was a British immigrant. And in 1968, I made several appeals to different levels of government, but very often I was shunned out of these boards. They didn't want a kind of rebel coming here saying they wanted medical care and doctors and things like that. So I got kicked out of a regional district meeting, the first one I ever went to. They moved it in camera, which meant I had to leave. And I said to myself, well, this is no way to get to the people you need. So I decided I would run for the regional district, but the problem with that was you had to be a Canadian citizen. So then I had to apply for Canadian citizenship. Unfortunately, the election was only a couple months away, and it takes a little bit longer than that to become a Canadian citizen. But by then I had made several acquaintances in politics, and a friend of mine was an MP in Ottawa, and I phoned him up and I said, I have this problem. I want to run for office, but I can't because I'm not a Canadian. So I got my Canadian citizenship through the mail, and then I was allowed to run for office.
And you got it on time?
Yes, I did.
Sorry to barge in.